All right, what's up guys? So in this video, I want to cover exactly why you should be playing the long game and thinking macro rather than micro, because it'll serve you much better in the long run. Let me explain exactly why. All right, so number one, making the macro shift, thinking long-term rather than short-term, allows you to be more focus oriented on things that are going to happen in the future, right? So that being challenges and also opportunities. So knowing what types of things are going to come up in the future, thinking from the macro perspective, is going to allow you to make investments and decisions now that will help you in your future. So think macro, not micro, because of those reasons. Future planning. All right, so the second reason that it's really important for you to play the long game and not the short game is building customer relationships and creating brand loyalty. You can't do that in the short term. You can only do that over the long haul by interacting with many different customers and partners, and therefore building a brand reputation. Over time, that brand reputation is going to withstand pretty much anything that comes at it, right? Because when you gain that loyalty, when you gain that brand awareness and that customer loyalty, those things stick around for a very long time. And those are very important for your future on the macro perspective when you look at sustaining a company, sustaining a brand, sustaining a service or a widget or whatever it is that you do, right? You just want to be thinking of it in the longevity term, right? Not the short-sighted term, like the 1 to 6 month term. That's not going to work. You need to be thinking in the 1 to 6 years term, right? That's how you need to play the game. All right, so a third reason that it's really important for you to focus on the macro, not the micro, and play the long game is employee retention. So as a company, as a business, you're going to be able to retain more employees if you have a bigger vision and a bigger goal at hand, right? If your employees, if the people in your operation see that you have a bigger goal and a bigger mindset rather than just the short term right in front of you, they're more likely to stay with you. They're more likely to stick it out and see the vision through because they see themselves as part of that, right? And you want them to be part of that. You want to retain good talent. So if you have a vision and if you have values and goals, your employees and the people in your operation are going to see that, and people will want to be in that for the long haul, right? Not just the short term, quick buck type of deal. That's not going to work. The long vision will work for retention. That's really important. All right, so number 4 as to why you should be thinking long-term, not short-term, and thinking about the macro perspective of everything is creativity, right? Experimentation, innovation, all of those things service the long game, not the short game, right? When you focus on the long game and you know you're going to be around for the long game and playing that long game, you can start experimenting with new products or service. You can create new products or services, right? You can basically just add those things into your repertoire and experiment, right? It serves you best to do that when you have a long-term vision because you always know that you can recover from things like that. But if you're in it for the short term and you don't quite have a name for yourself or anything like that, then you can't really create new products or pivot quickly or do anything like that if you have a short-term vision, because you have a short-term kind of name out there that doesn't really work, right? If you're one thing one day and one thing the next day. But if you're a long vision, macro perspective type of business, you can easily experiment and be creative and get innovative with the things that you do because you're going for the long haul. And eventually some of those products or services that you experiment and create with will become of your flagships, right? Those things will become the things that actually make you who you are. So they're really important to deal with in someone that's looking at the long game, not the short game. So that's an advantage right there to playing macro versus micro. All right, so number 5, last but not least, this one on the list is really important. adaptability. So when you play macro versus micro and you're long vision versus short-sighted, right? You can anticipate challenges. Every business is going to have challenges and every business is going to have to overcome those. But it's those businesses that play the macro and see the big picture rather than the short-sighted small picture that can weather the storm, right? So if you're in it for the long game, you're more adaptable to challenges that might come your way. And they will come your way. Business is just like that, right? You wake up, boom, something's on fire. So with that being said, being adaptable, being able to take on any challenge that might come your way, you're way better suited for that if you're somebody that's playing the long game, looking at it from a macro perspective than a micro perspective, right? So everyone says this too shall pass. That is always way more so the case if you are a macro perspective type person, if you're a macro perspective business versus a short-sighted, micro-sighted business. That's not really going to fly your way. You're not really going to be adaptable if you're short-sighted, if you're just looking at the very, very next couple of months versus the next few years or maybe the next decade, right? So that's the difference between those two. Guys, I've learned all of these lessons when I started my first business, which was my recruiting agency. I have a free Facebook group called Recruiter Empire. If you're interested in recruiting and you want to check it out, it's link in description. Join Recruiter Empire. We'd love to see you in there. And I will see you guys next time.